What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for September 7th, 2020. We are getting into the dog days of fall, I'm calling them. This is when they usually stop sharing a lot of information in preparation for CitizenCon. Obviously, we're not having a convention this year, but there is going to be a celebration on or around October 10th about Star Citizen. So they're starting to, it feels this way, that they're starting to lock down the information a little bit to not spoil any surprises for what they want to show us around October 10th. And that's totally understandable, but just in general, these videos are going to be a little bit less long and a little bit less filled with content, and it's just how it's going to be. So if you guys are enjoying the videos and are enjoying the content that I'm putting out here on this channel, make sure you hit the like button, leave a comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do so. Also, I do stream on Twitch, so if you guys haven't checked me out, twitch.tv/SaltEMike. I stream every day but Monday, so I can get this video out to you, starting out at around 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. So feel free to stop by, say hello, and hang out. Yeah, so jumping right into the video, we had 2 monthly reports this week, the Squadron 42 monthly report and the Persistent Universe monthly report. They put the Squadron 42 one in your email, and then next week they put it on the website. So we'll go over the PU monthly report this week and the Squadron 42 report next week, so we can just kind of dive into them a lot and not just be sitting here reading a monthly report for you, which is kind of boring in my opinion. So we're going to go through the PU monthly report, bullet point it, and again, links for both reports are going to be in the description down below, so if you guys want to check them out yourselves and read through them when you have some free time, feel free to do so. But again, we're just going to bullet point these for what I felt was like really important and things to call out to you. So starting out with AI. There's not a whole lot of new stuff here. A lot of what's being discussed is still continuing work on making the AI more skillful and having a variety of experiences when fighting against the AI. So they're talking about how they're going to miss less and actually have better aim, and it's up to us to be more evasive to cause their aim to miss more, which is pretty cool. So if you just stand there, they're going to kill you, but if you move around a lot and do evasive maneuvers, it will cause them to miss more often, which is pretty neat. They also went over the AI's ability to find ammo, reload it. That's something we've been talking about for months now. And I guess the one major call out here is that designers are starting to replicate Bartender AI and put them in other locations. Moving on to animations, the team is working on improved throw and knockdowns. We saw this in last week's ISC, as well as more work on female faces, as well as female-centric emotes. Environment art. Pyro 6 is now white box complete. A lot of work has been going into Pyro. I wonder when we're going to see it. It's very curious, all the work going into Pyro, but the server meshing tech and all that stuff seeming kind of far off based on last week's update. There's also a lot of talk about this new brush that they're using to paint locations and stuff onto planets, and it should make them be able to make moons and planets a lot faster. We're going to talk, I guess, briefly more about this in the video update section of the video today. They're also updating all of Stanton's locations with this brush, so very similar to what it seemed like with Planet V4. They're redoing everything over again. It's like crazy. Progress is being made with R&D on Crusader. That's a really big highlight to point out here, is that Crusader is the final planet to be added to the Stanton system before we can move out of it finally to go see other new and have other adventures. But we can't really do that without Crusader, so pretty excited to see that they're working on R&D to make it feel real and make it work. Also, Orison has now moved from white box to gray box, so pretty exciting, and very much looking forward to spending some time in the Cloud City one day. Ship art. More work on the Crusader Mercury, which will have a new feature for us to test. There will be a number of buttons to control various systems, weapon control, and more. I assume this will make its way to all multi-crew ships, not just something that's specific to the Mercury, but it looks like it'll debut with the Mercury. Maybe this is that engineering role that they talked about on, I think it was an SEL like a long time ago, like right at the beginning of when everything kind of shut down. Hercules is still progressing, so we'll see what happens with that. And the 100i series is art complete and is sent to the other teams to polish off. That means like they do the damage states and LODs and things like that, I believe, is the other teams. And that process isn't short, but we don't have a long time before we should be seeing 3.11 around September. Maybe they hold it off for that October 10th kind of release and celebration. And lastly, for ship art, the Asperia Talon is in its final art stage, which is where the 100i series was last month, just for like the timing of things. Weapons art. The main thing to point out here is grenades. They'll now have a light that visualizes the kind of cooking feature of the grenade, so they added that to it. Characters. There's new subscriber items that they're working on. Again, the new helmet that we got last month, I think, is super awesome. So, keep up the good work, CIG, on those things. They're also talking about seasonal assets. I don't know what that means necessarily. Maybe this ranges from event items or items that work within the actor status system as weather. So my guess is it's more like the seasons, like winter, summer, maybe. But maybe that ties into weather as well. Who knows? Engineering. They started to change the physics grids in the ships to using the same tech that makes the entry effects, that sign distance fields. And what's really important about this is, have you ever just randomly fallen for no reason when entering a ship and taken a ton of damage, or, just the transitions between inside and outside of a ship just being not smooth? This is supposed to fix that. And we're going to take the time out of reading all of this stuff to you and watching a video from 2018. And this shows how long they've planned for this, as well as how big the technology that they're making is and how long it takes for them to get there.
Called signed distance fields. And this is a technology that our Chris Rain is working on. It's a different way of describing a volume by recording these distances. So it stores distances, and what we've done to this point is use a volumetric approach where we have these voxels and we fill the ships with voxels, and this gives us our local physics grid. But when we move to a signed distance field, it'll be much faster. We can describe shapes in much higher resolution, and we'll know more immediately if you're inside the ship or outside the ship, colliding with the ship or not. This is going to open the door for new shield tech, new visual on the shield. So instead of a bubble that's kind of loosely shaped around the ship, you'll see a very tight shield that pushes just out from the plates of the ship.
All pretty cool, obviously, but moving on to now gameplay features. This is a pretty big update. The guys are working on updating cargo haulers, so you're going to need to monitor your cargo temperature, stability, and other factors will come into play. There didn't seem to be a timeline on this, but it's actively being worked on now. You just never know by the monthly report sometimes if they're just testing things out or if it's something they plan for the next release. So hopefully sooner than later, giving cargo haulers a little bit more to do than just travel from one place to another. Reputation. For me, now that you can purchase most of the ships, this is the next big step. So earning perks through reputation gains. I'm not sure what perks will be necessarily through completing missions. This rep will persist between patches. Obviously, we hope. I mean, we were hoping ships would persist between patches, and they ran into some issues with that they resolved last week. But very, very exciting. Reputation is easily one of the most important things, because once you have the ability to track a player's reputation, you're able to lock things behind it. You're able to give items value because you have to earn reputation in order to use them, get them, anything like that. So very, very excited for that. I mean, just on top, again, like you can earn reputation with literally anyone and anything once this system is in. So it's just very, very, very exciting. Graphics, just more big head stuff for me. And I see Gen 12 renderer there, and anytime we see this mentioned, it's a good thing because obviously performance should improve with that renderer. Vehicle features. We finally have a UI update to tell us where our hangar or pad that our ship is on, because the entire world's attention span and memories are non-existent. You know, it tells us right there, but we can't remember from 1 second to another. So they're going to help us out a little bit and let us know where our ship is. More work on docking continues, and this will be touched in much greater detail in the video update section. Moving on to props, they went into more detail about the Volatile Cargo sneak peek that they gave us last week. There'll be 3 types that are visually different to portray the different mechanics, I guess, that they will provide. And lastly, UI. The only thing that really sticks out here is that they're starting to rework the star map. This is obviously really needed. The star map is usable in-game, but that's as far as it goes. It has a lot of issues. It's hard to read. It's hard to navigate. So very excited that they're starting this work, but they said specifically in the post, this is a ways from completion. Moving on now to roadmap updates. So we had a roadmap roundup where a few cards were added to 3.11. So they added the new paint tool, and obviously they are also subsequently repainting the planets and locations that we talked about earlier. They also updated ground textures and geology. Hopefully this means less rocks to run into so you can drive more freely. Forced reactions were also added to the roadmap. I think we saw that update on last week's ISC, and this one is a big one. Player and external inventory. So this is the result of the tests that they've been doing that we saw on sprint reports with like the boxes moving around. Notice the player and the rock inventory on this image. That is really big. So you're able to take things from your backpack, put them in a vehicle. You know, maybe this is just from backpack to rock right now. Maybe it's just gems and harvestables. I'm pretty sure that's all it is for the moment, but monumental in terms of what this could bring in the future. I am getting more and more excited for the future of Star Citizen with a lot of the updates that we had this week, from whether it was the monthly report or this thing in the roadmap. I'm very, very pumped. It's just, we're still a ways away, but I'm able to remain patient knowing that I feel like they're working on the right things. You know, the priorities are in the right places now. Now we have removed or delayed cards. So FPS AI improvements, they want to deliver this with more updates later, so it'll find a new roadmap spot in the future, wherever that may be. But in the end, no updates to AI really matter until the servers can handle them, right? So they can do all these AI updates they want, but the players are never going to see it because the AI just don't respond in a realistic way, because the servers still need things like server meshing and all that other stuff to help bottleneck them less. So until then, I don't get bothered very much when FPS AI or any AI improvements get removed from the roadmap, because they're pointless in the first place. The law system. Surrender did not make a significant change to the game, so they want to give it more time to flesh it out more. Seems fine to me. I wasn't really too hyped for surrendering anyway. I don't think people really like to give up in a game where there's no consequences right now. There's no point of surrendering if there's no consequence to dying. So until you add consequence to dying, guys, no one's going to surrender. Okay, this one is the one that gets me salty, is forced reactions and body dragging were prioritized over server-to-client actor networking improvements, and that caused it to fall off the roadmap, is their description. I might be reading that wrong. Leave a comment below and tell me if I'm reading that incorrectly, but they said that those were more important to work on, that those had tasks, and server-to-client actor networking didn't. And in case you don't know, server-to-client actor networking improvements is what is supposed to improve desync. So we heard them talking about improving desync with Clive in last week's Calling All Devs. So I'm kind of confused here as to, was this server-to-client actor networking improvements or was it not? What's going on? None of this paragraph just made any sense to me. Death animation improvements had the same fate. They are both moving from 3.11 to 3.12. So hopefully we finally get that desync issue resolved, but for some reason it just wasn't prioritized over other things. I just feel like that they misrepresented the reasons maybe why it wasn't there, but who knows. Moving on to the Reddit roadmap from Odysseus. I appreciate the roadmap every week. It's so helpful to see the progress of things with that. Art items were added to the roadmap. 0 of their progress is complete, though. Even though we've seen the work being done, more on that in the video updates, forced reactions are 90% complete as they come online, and player and external inventory is done. So that's pretty exciting. I was gonna curse there almost. Seaweed tech is done as well. Star Runner was moved to 3.11 whenever, and 3.12 Object Push and Pull was down 7% because they added a task. Surrender is up by 25%, and Tractor Beam is up by 15%. All right, moving on to video updates. We had a kind of short ISC update for you. They did a grenade launcher featurette. So I think most of us know what a grenade launcher does. So let's touch more on how it will differ from what we experience with current grenades and how this launcher just helped make grenades better.
And initially, they were one-to-one the same, and we found that it was far, far too powerful because the radius on the explosion was far too big for something that you could fire so quickly and had so much ammo for. So we reduced that in a little bit, and we extended the damage radius so you're still able to damage people, and we've got it feeling quite good. And playtests within Theatres of War has helped us tune this a lot. We've had a few playtests in the map, and it's really kind of demonstrated how on our shooting range we initially tune things, and sometimes that's at closer ranges. So when we've actually got a much more open area to fire at people, where people are behind cover, they're like 50 to 100 meters to 200 meters away, and you're trying to hit them with a weapon, it really starts kind of like calling out the situations that people are seeing more often in the PU on planets especially.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. So they're clearly going to be powerful, but I like that it helped tune grenades so that it's a smaller kill range, but a much wider damage range, which what grenades really should be in the game. So I appreciate that. Then they did a sprint report where they started out with particle lighting fixes. So this used to get really bright when there was a lot of fog and stuff in the area, and pretty washed out, to be honest, and they look a lot better now. More on the day-night cycle, where they put a spotlight in Hurston at night. So it's just a really nice touch to the feel of Hurston. More hard surface shader work, which is what will bring us skins and more and more and more into the game. I would be excited for this if their initial skins weren't so bad. I purchased a skin actually for real money because I wanted my Freelancer Max to be black. I always wanted a black, matte black Freelancer Max. So I bought the black skin, and it's not black. So I was bummed. I was bummed about that. The paint tool improvement, these are the visual updates of the things that we talked about in the monthly report and the roadmap. Pretty cool. So they should be able to create better looking moons and planets much more quickly, much more efficiently, which is always good. Then they went into a section about cargo decks. So it was a dedicated, this is not the dedicated segment. The dedicated segment is coming in a future ISC, but this was a nice little sneak peek. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but did you see the Hull C? That's how big these things are. I am so pumped for these. I personally really do enjoy the economy side of the game, so things like this are pretty exciting. I can't wait to check them out in 3.11. Then we had docking. So this is probably the biggest thing that was shown this week, is that they're really starting to get there with docking. So they showed a really nice animation clip as well, and I don't know, it gave me some chills. I don't know what it did for you guys, but it definitely gave me some chills. The really impressive thing was the internal view for me, though. It really, the scale was big. It just gave you the vibes of the game that we all want to play. And even though it was just like white box or not really polished at all, you could still feel it, right? And it just felt really good, and I was so excited to see this, and I'm so happy. They are sorely needed. We also had a Star Citizen Live this week. We won't really touch on that very much because it was another one of the kind of game dev ones where, just the content in terms of this video, it's not really there as far as discussion points, but if you're interested in kind of game dev stuff, feel free to check it out. Then we had a very short other updates week. They had a lore post that took place in a tower in ArcCorp, as well as I was not wrong. So missile rework clarification from Yogi. They are in 3.11 going to deal with some of the issues related to missiles. So I think everybody, when they saw the roadmap update from last week, they thought, well, they don't care. They're just going to get rid of missiles. They don't care. And I knew that they weren't that out of touch, right? There's no way they would be that out of touch that they wouldn't deal in the short term with a Band-Aid fix of some kind to the missiles that we deal with now. There's no way. And of course, they're going to do a much larger update like we saw last week, but this week's update, or I guess what we know about what they're planning for 3.11 from this week's update is important, and it's great. So yeah, I wasn't wrong, but neither were you. So congratulations, we were both right. All right, that'll do it with this week's video, guys. I really do appreciate you guys watching. Again, make sure you leave a like, comment. If you have not subscribed yet and you're enjoying Weeks in Review, please do so. And also check out my Twitch channel once again, twitch.tv/SaltEMike. And I stream every day but Monday, starting at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys next week.